What we're going to do right now is we're going to go over the top 3 draft needs for Washington here on the Ourlads Football Network. So, of course, if you're a Commanders fan or just love the NFL, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll hope to have David back after the draft, and we'll have an opportunity to talk about the Commanders and how the team did, because this has been a very busy offseason. So let's get to it, though, talking NFL draft. Starting first of all, David, with the Commanders, who you believe would be their number 3 draft need.
There are 3 draft needs. I think number 1, you got to start right with the quarterback position. I mean, it's the most important position on the field. It's the most important position on every single NFL team. So you have to start there. And then, last year, they obviously kind of hoped that Sam Howell might be the answer to that problem that they haven't been able to solve, in a really long time. I think the closest you can say they got was Robert Griffin III before his injuries took over and ultimately derailed his career. And then Kirk Cousins, who they could never lock into a long-term deal and just played franchise tag with until he ultimately ended up in Minnesota. So it's been a while since the Commanders, since this franchise, have even sniffed, the idea of a franchise quarterback. So that's got to be priority number 1. But after that, you still got to look at protecting them. You know what I mean? They've got projected starting tackles right now would be Cornelius Lucas on the left side and Andrew Wiley on the right side. And there's a lot of people around this organization, or I should say outside the organization, fans mostly, some media, who weren't very happy with the job that Andrew Wiley did last year. He's still around. They also weren't happy with what Charles Leno did at left tackle. He's no longer with the team, but Cornelius Lucas was his backup. And, you can't say that you've never seen a backup step up for a starter and do better, but usually the backup is a backup for a reason. So, how confident the team is in Cornelius Lucas. Publicly, they tell us they're confident in both of those guys, but you still expect them to probably have offensive tackle pretty high up the draft board. A lot of conversations about them maybe sending one of those 5, day 2 picks, or packaging some of those 5 day 2 picks they have right now to try to move back up in the first round next Thursday night. And then after that, you stay in the trenches, the edge position. They took a big swing at number 2 a few years back on Chase Young. That didn't work out for a multitude of reasons. So he ended up in San Francisco for a 3rd round pick, and now he's in New Orleans. And Montez Sweat did kind of work out, right, but just apparently was not in the long-term plans for the Washington Commanders. So they sent him to Chicago for a 2nd round pick. He's got a new deal there, and the Washington Commanders now have 2 openings on the defensive end. In the defensive end group on their defensive line. And they've done some good stuff. They brought in Dorrance Armstrong from the Dallas Cowboys. They brought in another edge from the Cowboys, an edge rusher from the San Francisco 49ers that are kind of depth guys like Cleveland Farrell and Dante Fowler. But, again, you kind of look at that group and say, is there a 3 to 5 year solidified starter in that group who could potentially be a Pro Bowler, be all this? I don't think there is. So I still think the edge group is a position that they need to address probably at least once in the first 100 picks. Which they'll be able to do. They've got 6 total picks, including that 1st round pick that you assume is going to go towards the quarterback. But 6 picks in the first 3 rounds, you should be able to address the quarterback, the tackle, and the edge groups, and do some other things if you want to.